stores, it's the place to shop, you'll see.
Remember your favorite mall stores from the 80s? What if it's gone forever and you never saw it coming? KB Toys, Sam Goody, Chess King. These places were childhood gold mines. So why did they vanish? Today, we're diving into the rise and fall of the 80s mall stores you grew up with, and the surprising reasons why they were wiped off the map. So, stick around, because the last store on our list was killed by its own success. So, do you remember that tiny store, packed to the ceiling with toys? That was KB Toys, and it was absolute chaos in the best way. Every square inch of those cramped little stores was loaded with action figures, stuffed animals, board games, Hot Wheels, and plastic blasters you totally weren't allowed to shoot indoors. The shelves overflowing. The clearance bins legendary. For any kid walking through the mall in the 80s or 90s, KB was the treasure chest at the end of the food court rainbow.
Can't find that popular new toy? If it's hot, then KB's got it, and you'll find a big selection of the hottest toy hits.
It was smaller than Toys R Us, but way more intense, like a toy explosion packed into 900 square feet. At its peak, KB had over 1,300 stores nationwide and dominated the mall toy game. But as malls started dying and big box giants like Walmart and Target crushed prices, KB couldn't compete. Add in online shopping and boom, game over. They filed for bankruptcy twice, finally disappearing by 2009. For millions of 80s and 90s kids, it wasn't Christmas without a KB trip. And once they closed, the mall's magic just didn't feel the same. But what happened to the store where you bought your very first boy band CD or mixtape? Before Spotify and YouTube playlists, we had Sam Goody. This was the music lover's paradise. Sam Goody wasn't just a store, it was an experience. From floor to ceiling, the walls were stacked with vinyl, cassette tapes, and later CDs. You could walk in, slap on a pair of headphones at a listening station, and preview your favorite artist's newest drop right there in the store. And when the hottest album dropped, you bet there was a crowd. Its yellow logo and slogan "Goody's Got It" were everywhere. TV, radio, and across hundreds of malls in America. Sam Goody even hosted live signings with artists. If you were a teen in the 80s or 90s, this was the hangout spot between Auntie Anne's and the arcade. But when digital music hit, first with Napster, then iTunes, and eventually streaming, it was like pulling the plug. Sales tanked, big box stores undercut prices. Sam Goody filed for bankruptcy in 2006. Most stores were either rebranded or shut down completely.
The two final Sam Goody stores will soon be closing. One of those two is in Belmont County.
And what if your favorite store from the 80s dressed like a nightclub and blasted dance music while you shopped? Yes, we're talking about Merry-Go-Round. If you wanted to look cool in the 80s, Merry-Go-Round was the spot. This wasn't a store, it was a fashion rave in a mall. Flashy clubwear, bedazzled jackets, spandex, studded belts, you name it, they had it. The store was loud, the clothes were louder, and they didn't just follow fashion trends, they chased them like their life depended on it. At its peak, Merry-Go-Round had nearly 1,000 stores in 39 states, almost all in malls. And if you were shopping in the late 80s, odds are you either bought something there or wished you could. Their bright lights, chrome walls, and wild energy made it feel like a mini nightclub inside the mall. But here's the twist. The same trend chasing that made them blow up is what took them down. In the 90s, when teens ditched flashy styles for flannel and grunge, Merry-Go-Round missed the memo. They bet big on bold hip-hop gear, and it backfired. Hard. They filed for bankruptcy in 1994. By 1996, they were gone. But what if there was a store just for guys who wanted to look like pop stars? That was Chess King. Chess King wasn't just a clothing store. It was a full-blown style statement for teen guys in the 80s. Picture this. Mirrored walls, neon lights, mannequins in shiny shirts, parachute pants, and pastel Miami Vice suits. Whether you wanted to look like a rock star, a breakdancer, or a fashion god, Chess King had your back. It was loud, it was flashy, and for a while it was unstoppable. At its peak, Chess King had over 500 mall stores nationwide. Pop music blasted through the speakers. You'd walk in feeling like you were stepping into a music video. But by the early 90s, fashion changed. Teens traded flash for flannel. Suddenly, no one wanted leather vests or metallic button-downs anymore. Chess King got caught wearing yesterday's trend. The parent company sold it to Merry-Go-Round in 1993, just before Merry-Go-Round itself collapsed. By 1995, every single Chess King location was gone. But if your entire wardrobe once came from a wall of jeans, you probably shopped at County Seat. County Seat was denim paradise. Before $200 designer jeans were a thing, this was where you scored your Levi's, Lee, or the latest acid wash denim jacket. It had that all-American rustic vibe. Wooden shelves, folded jeans stacked to the ceiling, and a fitting room that felt like a barn stall. It was your one-stop mall shop for affordable, teen-targeted casual wear. By the mid-80s, County Seat had nearly 500 mall stores across the US, and was especially huge in smaller cities. Owned by Carson Pirie Scott, they smartly redesigned it to feel cool and teen-focused. Every back-to-school trip almost had to include a County Seat run. County Seat couldn't keep up. Its denim-first identity got lost in a storm of changing ownership, stale designs, and rising competition. They filed for bankruptcy in 1996 and never bounced back. By 1999, every County Seat store was shut for good. But what about gadgets, gaming consoles, and stereos? Before Amazon and Best Buy took over, tech geeks had one electric paradise: Circuit City.
You'll find the latest computers for guaranteed low prices at Circuit City's Veterans Day sale. Get $10 to $100 mail-in rebates.
Circuit City was the place to buy electronics in the 80s and 90s. Big red plug logo, you saw it from a mile away. Inside, you were hit with aisles of TVs, stereos, car audio, VCRs, and later, the latest video game consoles. They had commissioned salespeople who actually knew their stuff, which made shopping feel high-tech and helpful. The slogan, "Where service is state-of-the-art," and for a while it actually was. By the early 2000s, Circuit City had over 500 megastores and was leading the electronics retail game. But then came the bad decisions, like firing experienced staff to cut costs. At the same time, Best Buy exploded with lower prices and self-service. Circuit City couldn't compete. They filed for bankruptcy in 2008, and by early 2009, poof, gone. The red plugs were unplugged. Today, some of those weirdly shaped buildings still stand, now turned into gyms or furniture outlets, but they're haunted by tech nostalgia. And do you miss that cozy little bookstore in the corner of the mall that smelled like paper and peace? Let's take a trip down memory lane to Walden Books. Before Kindle and Amazon took over, Walden Books was where every mall kid discovered their next great read. Walden Books was quiet, cozy, and always there, tucked near the food court or across from the arcade. With its simple brown and orange sign, it wasn't flashy, but it didn't need to be. It was a paradise for book lovers. Shelves lined with the latest paperbacks, comics, fantasy novels, and even those tiny Garfield collections you could never resist flipping through. At its peak in the mid-1980s, Walden Books had over 1,200 locations, making it the largest mall-based bookstore in the country. You went in for one book and left with 5. Maybe a magazine, maybe a bookmark you didn't need. Pure bookworm heaven. But then the world changed. First came big box bookstores like Barnes & Noble. Then came Amazon, and just like that, Walden Books couldn't keep up. They were bought by Borders, and when Borders went under in 2011, Walden Books vanished too. And finally, what happened to the shoe store where every kid got their first sneakers? Before sneakerheads ruled the world, your family went to one place for shoes: Kinney.
You need shoes for it all, say comfort and style. If you're young at heart or young enough to remember, come to Kinney and explore.
Kinney Shoes wasn't flashy, it wasn't trendy, but it was everywhere, and it had everything. Dress shoes for dad, heels for mum, school shoes for the kids, and probably a pair of light-up sneakers you begged for. The vibe? Basic, beige, and packed. But for families, Kinney was the MVP of mall shoe shopping. At its peak, Kinney had over 460 stores across America. Owned by Woolworth, they proudly called themselves the Great American Shoe Store. And honestly, they earned it. You could knock out the entire family's shoe checklist in one stop, and maybe still have enough left over for an Orange Julius. But then the 90s happened. Shoe culture exploded. Nike, Adidas, Foot Locker. And Kinney, they didn't evolve. The brand started to feel stale and old school. Ironically, their own parent company chose to bet on Foot Locker and shut Kinney down in 1998. So, which of these stores do you miss the most? Drop it in the comments and tell us your favorite memory from the mall.